Welcome to the Growlers and Gremlins podcast, an alcoholic adventure in cryptids, paranormal, and the occult. Coming to you weekly from the heartland of America. Welcome to the second episode of the Growlers and Gremlins podcast. I am your favorite host, Jason the Analyst. With me today I have...
John, the theorist and rabbit hole spelunker.
I'm Brian, and I don't remember how to pronounce my title. So here I am.
Today we're drinking Sweet Baby Jesus by the Duclaw Brewing Company in Baltimore. A classic porter with a heavenly aromas, flavor of roasted malt, chocolate, and rich peanut butter with a smooth, dry finish. One sip and you will exclaim the name, Sweet Baby Jesus.
I've never heard anyone say peanut butter with that emphasis. Usually we
I
say
don't.
peanut butter, and you said peanut butter.
Really?
I don't know.
You don't know enough people.
I'm used to peanut butter being like one word. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter.
I spend my entire day talking to computers. I don't know how to speak to humans.
Hello there, dear human. I am Jason. I am here to help you.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
All right, Jason.
Okay, so-
what do you have on the docket today?
So I want to try and do something a little local this time. Indiana has many stories of unusual goings-ons, from wild men up in the north area to Oscar the Beast of Busco, which we will have to touch on at some point.
Oh, a wild man in the north. I don't know anything about that either.
Or
How could we narrow it down?
Brian-
There's so many
Brian
meth
lives in
addicts.
Central.
Indiana
shut
is
up.
stranger than you'd think. Indiana's Puckwa J, who reside in Mountain State Park. But we're not going to be talking about any of those today. We're going to be talking about the Mud Mermaids of Vevay, Indiana.
Where exactly is Vevay, Indiana?
Well, how do you spell that?
Vevay.
Okay, that's about as...
Vevay.
They spelled it exactly
Vevay.
like it sounds.
Mhm.
Good old 9th grade education there.
Yeah, but you know Indiana. Listen, you know Indiana. It could be that town is pronounced Huawei or something. Like, we don't know.
True.
In Indiana, the town names, you can read it as one way, and then people are like, oh, no, you're not in Smithsville. You're in Smorgasbord.
So
That's just how they pronounce it.
if at any point in time you want to correct our pronunciation or just tell us we're idiots, we are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Let us know how dumb we actually are.
I'm not. Brian is not. I don't have social
The
media.
podcast is.
Oh, yeah, the
No one's going to
podcast.
talk to you personally, just like it's always been.
I like having people talk to me.
At Growl and Gremcast. Growl and Gremcast.
Right. So, the Mud Mermaids were first spotted in 1891 by a Kentuckian Confederate captain in the area near Vevay. So this is a,
Way
just
old.
the banks of the Ohio River down southeast side of Indiana.
So down by
so-
the Ohio? Is Vevay down by the Ohio?
So we talking down by, like, Newport, Kentucky?
Mhm.
Okay, so towards the
Excuse me.
Cincinnati area, Newport, Kentucky.
Okay, you're saying
southeast.
Cincinnati. Where is Vevay? I have... Sorry, I'm fucking about to vomit here. I've had...
Sweet baby Jesus.
Sweet Christ is more like it. But I don't mean to sound... But I'm thinking like Kentucky, because you're saying Confederate General. Was it the east side or the south side?
Southeast corner. If you
Okay.
think of it as a square, it's a southeast
I'm sorry,
corner.
I don't know where Cincinnati
But
is.
Indiana's like an elegant pointed toe.
Yes, it
Shut up.
is. The heel, then.
The heel.
Okay, so it's the southeast corner. Okay, got it. I'm really sorry. I don't know where Cincinnati is. I've been there like a dozen times, and I still don't remember where it is. It's down 70 somewhere. Am I wrong? Was it 74?
74.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Jason?
Described as vaguely humanoid in appearance, amphibious, and completely hairless. The creature is also described as having webbed hands and sharp claws, fins, pointed ears, and jagged teeth, much like my ex-wife. A quote from the
Oh my
Cincinnati...
god. Holy shit.
This is going
That's
off
an
real
inside
fast.
joke if you don't understand.
My God.
It's so inside. It's in a
I
jail
just feel
cell.
like we need to restart the episode now. Well, anyway, Jason, you were saying?
Okay, so I just gave a brief description of the creature.
Yeah, what was that again?
Described as having webbed hands with sharp claws, fins, pointed ears, and jagged teeth. A quote from the Cincinnati Enquirer described the creature as such. The beast is about 5 feet in length. In general color is yellowish. The body between the 4 legs resembles that of a human being. Back of the hind legs are tapered to a point. The extremities resemble hands and are webbed and furnished with sharp claws. It is devoid of hair. Its ears are sharp and pointed and stand up like those of a dog. So clearly we're starting off with something that looks nothing like a mermaid. I mean, they talk about 4 legs and a tail.
It's a chupa merm.
Well, okay, so where does the original description of a mermaid come from? Because generally we always think of mermaid as the Little Mermaid. Disney has taken mermaids. So
they really have. And
where did the original mermaid description come from? Because we had sirens way, way back. But
right.
Mermaids, what
Odysseus.
was the first description of a mermaid? I don't know. And I'm betting you didn't research that.
To some degree. So the idea of like
did.
sirens and, they're so beautiful. They entice men off ships. I mean, you like Odysseus.
Well, sirens.
Right.
With Odysseus, it was sirens,
Mhm.
not mermaids. So where did mermaids originate? Was that a Disney invention?
Oh, no.
I
Because
really-
think about like the Barnum and
No.
Bailey hoax.
Oh,
Where he took the top
That-
half of a monkey and shoved it in a fish and called it a mermaid.
Yeah.
that's true. That
Yes,
was
John-
pre-Disney.
I don't-
Yeah. Yep.
I'm pretty sure mermaids have been around. For
Crazy
a while.
to think there was a world pre-Disney.
Yeah, it's pre 1930.
Well, when was Steamboat Willie?
1930. They made propaganda for World War II with Disney.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take
Yeah.
30.
We're not going to
and
touch
with-
that. That
Yeah,
Donald Duck cartoon
Disney's
is something else.
Yeah, it is.
Disney's a dark world.
Mermaids have been around for a while. Let's go with that.
Okay.
But I don't think we're dealing with a mermaid here. We're dealing with something entirely different. It was a convenient name to get it, to make headlines.
Do
It
you
got the point
have
across
the context
sooner.
of the first sighting?
No, basically, not in my notes, but I read it.
All right, description as
Good
best
job.
as we can go. Onward.
What happened?
Basically, he came across these 2 mermaids playing in the water, and he said that it was a male and a female, and he could tell because the male was territorial and tried to attack him when he approached.
Is that a male trait?
According to this Confederate soldier, yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense. He was Confederate. Okay.
Oh, captain, not soldier.
Captain of the
Which
Confederate Army.
I do have a name for him, J.M. Ozier. And
Ozier?
I went on like the ancestry websites and all this stuff. I cannot find any record of this guy.
What was he doing when he saw it?
Probably fighting the Union, I would assume.
Not
On
in
the river?
1891.
Why was there a Confederate general in Ohio in 1891?
Because he got older.
Yeah, because he didn't die.
Just because you were a Confederate general doesn't mean the Civil War spanned your lifetime.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He got older.
That's his highest title. Okay, makes sense.
Right.
Indiana was a northern state.
Really?
Yes.
Who'd have thought?
Hey, I am proud of that because
Yeah.
people look down on Indiana.
Wow,
It's
1818.
it's like a backwoods hillbilly state.
It
But
pretty much
Indiana
was.
was a northern state.
It pretty much was.
Anyway,
Moving on.
eyewitness accounts stated that there were 2... Oh, I did write it down in my notes. Fuck.
Good.
That there were 2...
Knowledge.
Hated
there
to
were 2...
bombard you with questions, but I assumed you were pretty prepared.
Yeah, for the most part. The creatures swimming in the water. There were 2 of the creatures swimming in the waters, lounging about on submerged stumps. That they fed on fish and mussels from the surrounding waters. Ozier would go on to say that there had been a male and a female creature, like I just said, and that he had seen and been menaced by the male, claiming that they were predatory and quite aggressive. So his story circulates. It gets in different newspapers. It goes all around the place. Newspapers soon thereafter named the creature Mud Mermaids. And the Akron Daily Democrat reported them as such. On the sandbar of the Ohio River, Vevay, Indiana, resides two nondescript creatures, horrible in appearance and habit. They are amphibious in nature and resemble in appearance huge lizards with human features. When partly submerged in the yellow waters of the Ohio, they are strangely like human beings. Of what species of animal they are no one knows. For it is impossible to get near enough to them to judge correctly. The sandbar in question is at low tide covered with huge logs and stumps of trees, known in the river vernacular as snags.
If you're about to ASMR this, I'm going to fucking stab you.
Let me just ruin this real quick. You like that? I don't know. I hate to oversimplify this, but that just made me think when you talked about what they were eating.
Yeah.
Seals?
Sounds an awful lot like an otter, a river otter.
But they describe it as hairless.
Can a river otter get mange? I mean, Brian, you're the resident veterinarian.
Oh, fuck you. Just because I kill animals doesn't mean I know what...
Have you ever seen a bear with mange?
Yes, it's a very scary thing.
When animals get mange, they lose their hair.
But that doesn't mean every animal that gets...
Can an otter get
Sorry,
mange?
not every animal that can.
Otters
every
have little
gets...
clawed hands.
Yes, but they're
They
otters.
eat mussels and fish.
I would have to look it up like you would.
There are otters in the Ohio River?
John, with my expertise in absolutely nothing to do with veterinarian or animals.
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
For all they know, you are a veterinarian.
John, what is my title?
Brian.
Shut up.
You are Brian, the Brian.
I am Brian the Brian. There is no other title. Do not look it up any further. But yeah, I'm sorry to say, I might kill the animals, but that doesn't mean I know what they mange about doing. I'm pretty sure they don't, but I could be wrong. Hopefully a viewer will correct me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a horrible person.
But you literally collect roadkill. Take it to your shack in the woods.
Okay.
And put them in jars of acid to dissolve the flesh off the bones.
What is this even?
Because you like bones.
John, let's get something straight here.
No, I just watched a movie about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes, I am overly aware that this is not describing me, and you are just letting your imagination get the best of you.
I'll tell you what, though. I watched that movie about Jeffrey Dahmer growing up, and all I could think about was my son.
Wow. Okay.
He looks at me and he says, I want to see your bones.
Well, keep them close, I guess. Moving on, Jason, you were saying about the yellow rivers of the Ohio or something.
Yeah, the Yellow River.
Yeah, so basically they're living in all this debris, like
Debris?
Anyway. I talk to computers.
Who told you?
I English well.
Sometimes he'll be at his desk and he'll be trying to spell something repeatedly, and I'll just lean over and tell him how to spell it. And it's sad because Jason's a very smart man.
I would really hate to work.
Spell too good.
John, I would hate to work with you just for the simple fact that I'm done with what I'm doing. Let's see what you're doing.
That's not the worst part about working with him. I sit back to back with him. Constant anal eruptions from this man.
Honestly, I completely understand that. I've been to his house enough in D&D night.
But see, mine are scentless.
No, they're not.
No.
You are a liar.
They're scentless to me.
You are a
you.
liar.
And that is
no
all
one
that
else.
matters.
No, it is not. That is not all that matters. You are a liar of the highest
I
caliber.
have a condition, and for you to make fun of my disability.
Your disability. Your ass disability.
I have IBS.
My ass, you have IBS. If you had IBS, you would have been diagnosed with it by now. You don't go to the doctor.
Go to doctors.
I know.
Listen, the last time I went to a doctor,
All right, we're off rails.
I don't know if you even know about this, Brian. That's why my head is shaved right now.
I thought you were trying to go Islam.
No, the last time I went to a doctor was because I got hit in the head with a hammer.
Whose?
Mine.
He hit himself in
By
the
yourself.
head with his own hammer.
God, you fucking
Accidentally. But it busted my head open.
I'd be very concerned if it was on purpose.
There's blood everywhere.
Of course, it's a head wound.
Yeah, I had to get a staple in my head.
Yeah.
So I shaved my
Oh, I
head because
remember.
my hair was
You-
pulling on the staple.
Yeah, you texted about it.
But they had a lot of questions when I got to the doctor because I hadn't been there in over a year because the last time I went was when I thought I broke my foot.
When did you do that?
I was on a run last year and I stepped on the curb and my foot turned sideways and then my ankle hit the street.
I remember.
So my foot was all swollen up, but they just kind of lose track of my records because I go to the doctor maybe once every few years because I don't go for sickness because
I haven't been to the doctors in almost a decade. They still have my records on file.
you know what? Let me tell you something really great about myself.
You suck.
I once took an 8-year span without going to the dentist.
Oh my, that's a dentist. That's not a doctor.
Listen, I once went an 8-year span without going to the dentist. When I went to the dentist, not a single problem.
Shut
Not
up.
one cavity.
He looked like a mud mermaid, but
Yeah, his mouth was like that of a 19th century sailor.
I have the teeth of, well, someone who drinks too much milk, basically.
That's me.
But yeah, do you get cavities a lot?
I drink 6 gallons of milk a week.
Do you get cavities a lot?
I
Me
would
either.
know.
I think
don't go to the
I
doctor.
genuinely think a
Dentist.
high calcium intake really strengthens your teeth to a point that it's hard to get cavities.
okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
basically.
Mud Mermaids?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We
This-
almost made it through the news clipping.
Oh, there's
my
a news
God.
clipping?
Yeah, that's what I've been reading from.
Oh, I thought
Sweet.
you were reading from your own note.
No.
Sweet, merciful Christ.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Shut up.
All right, basically, let's just summarize. They're carnivores. They eat shit. All right, so what do we think it is?
What do we think it is?
Well, I already told you all.
Yeah, you
you
think
guys
John
run
thinks
with
it's
it.
an otter with mange.
Wait, it's 5 feet long with pointed ears.
How long is an otter?
How long is a coyote? With mange.
Does mange change their length?
Dude, coyotes ain't long. I've killed enough of them.
No, but why would a coyote be in the water eating fish and mussels?
Maybe it can only eat fish. Maybe.
Does a coyote have clawed fingers?
Yeah. They have claws. Those little bastards can scratch.
Okay.
I'm almost thinking we should be doing this once a week instead of
4 episodes.
No,
four in
this
a row
is-
because you're still you are barely
He's
holding
not.
on.
He's really
the,
not.
The directions that the conversations are taking, I am lost in the idea that Brian just brought up. We're talking about mermaids, something that lives in the water, eats mussels and fish, and Brian said, is it coyotes with mange?
Dude, you are the bastard that said it was otters with mange.
They live in the water!
Yeah,
There are
coyotes.
otters on the Ohio River.
I will stab you.
Okay.
But how long is an otter?
It's not that long. I would
Not
assume.
fun.
I'm going to Google it.
Google it.
How long is an otter?
is an
I
otter?
can't wait for you to look stupid.
Here we go. 3. Well, there's a lot of different otters. North American river otter. Here we go. So the North American river otter weighs between
He's going out and collecting taxes.
the auditor. The
Yes.
otter. The
Yeah.
North American river otter. What is wrong with me? You broke my brain.
You said auditor first.
The North American river otter can weigh between 11 and 30.9 pounds.
That's not the length, you asshole.
Yes, but that's the first statistic I was given by Wikipedia.
Jason, this is episode 2.
Yeah, I know.
Description.
4.
And you have to do the next one.
Oh, God.
Okay, so the total length, 1/3 of their length consists of a long tapered tail, mermaid tail. The tail ranges from 12 to 20 inches. Can you please give me the full length of this animal?
Jeez.
I'm going to say 5 feet, but I'm guessing it's more like 3.
Well, considering they said a coyote, when I looked it up, was 2.5 to 2.8 feet without tail.
My otter is bigger than yours.
Your otter is bullshit.
I have the biggest mermaid so far, Jason.
But how long is your auditor?
He's about
if you work
6'4".
for the IRS,
Does he touch the dangly thing at the back of your throat?
definitely not. If you work for the IRS, you are the most shriveled, soulless being.
John, I take offense to that.
You don't work for the IRS.
You're right, I'm not smart enough. Oh, God.
So, like researching this, I found a map of what used to be Lake Ohio. So what my theory is...
Lake Ohio?
Yeah, what's Lake Ohio?
I'm really, really sorry to say. Is it a Great Lake or is it just a lake in Indiana or Ohio?
It was a glacier lake that covered most of Ohio.
Okay. I can...
It eventually, dried up and is now, the Ohio River. But what if we're seeing the remnants of something that used to live in that lake? Well, because, think about it this way. Like, there are more creatures have existed and died off than we know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can...
And, going further into the future, things that we clearly know as existing now will be
gone.
doubted in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's think about it if
The
it's
Tasmanian devil.
Yes, the Tasmanian devil is actually where I was exactly going to go.
I figured.
Because, we have, old camcorder footage of the Tasmanian devil. And we'll show that to somebody way out in the future and
It's 40
not
years
even
from now.
it's not even HD. It's not holographic. The CGI is horrible. They use shaky cam and grain to cover up the CGI. We're going at some point, people are just going to not believe that things that did exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if this is something it died out before we got properly documented?
Well, I think that's a possibility, especially since history now, we've reached a point where knowledge is so easily accessible that when we look 100 years into the future, what is the history going to be? Because you have thousands of conflicting opinions of what's going on all over the place.
What's true and what's not.
Yeah, nobody will know what's true.
Well, also think about it this way. You put in your day's work building Stonehenge, and you're like, I'll tell my children what Stonehenge was for, and they'll tell their children, and no one will ever forget what Stonehenge is for.
Nobody
and here
knows.
we are in 2020, and we have no clue what Stonehenge is for.
Yeah.
So it could just be, it's just lost information. And we have this large lake. What if it was, a regressed frog that somehow kept its tail, right? It was
Putting chemicals in the water, turning the frickin' frogs gay.
you had to go there.
You couldn't just leave the politics out, could you there, Alex Jones?
That's not politics. That's Alex Jones. He's nuts.
Yeah, we know.
But I'm just saying, okay, so you're a frog, and, the idea of, now there's a large lake here, and all of a sudden it's advantageous to keep your tail past being a tadpole, and you have a frog with a tail. That's what this sounds like to me, is a large frog viewed from a distance,
A 5
with
foot
a
frog.
tail, viewed from a distance, because he said he couldn't get close.
Kept jumping in.
So what I'm thinking about is evolution. When you go back to the first land creatures,
600
because
million
essentially
years ago.
all life started in the ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Eventually, things made their way out of the ocean.
Yeah.
I would think the first thing that you would develop to pull yourself out of the ocean would be some sort of an arm-like thing.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say that that creature that could pull itself out of the ocean onto the beach with its arm-like things didn't continue to exist, even though other creatures developed further, pulled out further, developed legs eventually, and became our modern reptiles and things like that. Who's to say that this thing didn't just stay that way? It got arms and it was satisfied.
Okay, let's
There's a
look at this.
separation in breeding.
Let's look at this from the time standpoint. We have what you're suggesting is the time of this is evolution bringing us lungs and the ability to breathe air and crawl out of the oceans to 1891. And that creature never really advanced past that.
That is entirely plausible because we have creatures that are not humans.
Yeah,
Not
crocodiles.
every creature
Crocodiles-
evolved to be a human. So evolution is not a one-way path that eventually leads to walking creatures. So we have fish, we have alligators, we have all these different things. So why should we not think that there's something that was kind of in between?
And think about it, if you were a native to that area, you wouldn't have thought it was a remarkable creature. It's just a creature that just always existed.
But he thought it was a remarkable creature.
But
it was in the newspaper.
Right, he thought it was. But that's why you don't see any prior... my thought of why you don't see any prior reports of this, he's a transplant.
Or later reports.
Yeah, well, yeah. Is the idea that to all the locals, it was just a thing that existed. They didn't think anything more of it. Someone else came in and saw it and was like, what the heck is that? What do you call that thing? I mean, people that saw the Tasmanian devil when it was alive thought, yeah, that's just a Tasmanian devil. What are you talking about? We have these, they're just a thing we have. To people that didn't live in that area, they were like, what the heck is that thing? That thing is really weird looking.
So it also could be that this Confederate captain, not wanting to look like an idiot, was standing by the river and somebody else walked over, maybe one of his subordinates walked over and said, what is that? And he goes, well, that's a mud mermaid, don't you know? Well, and then that's where it started. It was just some animal.
I think the mud mermaid started with the newspapers, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But I feel like, there might be some seed of truth to this. There's something, because there's this concept that the human brain is hardwired to see faces, when they're not actually there.
Like the face on Mars, the man on the moon.
Yeah. So if it was a creature with a markings close enough to a human face that when viewed from a distance, he's like, oh yeah, that's definitely a mermaid because that's a human face I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking is it's vaguely human enough and just, weird enough that it was worth him telling the story. Otherwise, we never would have known it happened. We would have been like, oh, there's a thing in the water. And walked on by. It's just this combination of vaguely human face and something he hadn't seen before. It's the only reason why we know about it.
Couldn't you argue that every animal has a vaguely human face?
No.
Aside from bugs.
No. I can't look at a cat and go, vaguely human. No.
Have you ever met a furry?
Do you know that those suits are designed to look slightly human?
Because cats can be made to easily look slightly human?
No.
And this gets us back to Disney again.
And dogs? Did Disney create furries?
A lot of people argue they did.
Really?
That, these
damn you, Zootopia. How dare you?
Well, furries, they were way
yes, I know Zootopia.
Robin Hood.
Oh God, Robin Hood.
Oh yeah, Robin Hood.
That probably predates furries.
I don't know if it does or not, but
the Robin Hood cartoon from
1983, probably. I don't know. Fucking.
I don't know. But we're probably gonna get hate from the furry community now.
I watched it.
Why? We're not disparaging them.
True.
We're just pointing out that
we're probably getting their origins
you could
wrong.
argue that any animal could be argued to have a human face. Yes, I got out my phone to look up what year Robin Hood came out.
God, you suck.
Robin.
But, so
Hood.
Especially in my mind, my thought was
1973.
You have this lake environment,
Jesus.
Lake Ohio, where all of a sudden, evolution is survival of the fittest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one tadpole just happened to keep its tail. And it's like, hey, he lived better as a frog in this lake environment by having a tail to navigate the lake.
Yeah.
So he reproduced more. And that gets passed on, and then you have these frogs with tails that would look pretty freaky from a distance.
Yeah.
You were close on your 1983 date. Because that is when the furries began.
Fuck.
10 years after Robin Hood.
I am not a furry. Brian is not a furry.
He lives in that realm.
I do not live in that realm.
You
shut your whore mouth.
You're a weeb.
That's not the same thing.
I mean, come on. It's like the 3-something and Kevin Bacon. Weeb to furry is not a far jump.
I will stab you. Repeatedly.
What's wrong with being a furry, Brian?
A lot. that I will not go into detail.
And this is where we get hate from the furry community.
Sorry, furry community.
Not sorry. I've seen what you do.
Brian doesn't like you.
I don't. I've seen what happens.
I'm really having a hard time keeping this on mermaids.
Well,
Dude.
it's a tough topic. Because there's very little information there. And the more we talk about it, the more I am convinced that an otter with mange. But can otters get mange?
I thought you were looking that up an hour and a half ago. To be
No.
completely honest.
No. Can
No.
otters get...
So I think it's some sort of mutant frog. He thinks it's some sort of coyote.
Honest.
And you think it's an auditor.
An
Well,
auditor.
I think, I hate to say it, but I think you might be the furthest off of it with a frog, even though he has coyote, which is not a water animal. But frogs are quite
Coyotes
small.
have to drink. I don't want to hear your shit. They live native to Indiana and Ohio, I think. I've killed enough of them in Indiana to know that I've seen them. I mean, a couple have been golden retrievers that went feral, but
You know, just about any mammal can get mange.
can I get mange?
You have mange.
Oh my
Well, yeah,
god.
because that explains his beard.
Oh,
Or lack
shut the
thereof.
hell up.
No, I don't know if humans can get mange. Can humans get mange?
Wow, the rails have been so far discarded by this point.
It's all about mange now.
I mean, yeah, okay. I mean,
Mud Mermaids mange.
Yes, humans can get mange. On humans, it
finally heard
appears
it.
You
there's
did so much research.
red bumps or blisters.
I got a bump on my knee right now. It's probably because I dropped to it too much.
Let's take a darker path.
okay.
What if there's only 2 of these mermaids? That's it. There's not a whole population of them. There's only 2.
River mermaids?
Mud mermaids.
Probably not a lot.
Back in
I'm not saying
1891, people had a very limited understanding of disability.
Oh,
Are you saying this is-
no.
Are you saying this is genetic mutation of?
No, he's saying it's birth defects that were tossed in the river.
So you mean
It's
genetic
a dark,
mutation?
horrible idea, but it's entirely possible. If you look at human history, people, before they understood birth defects, they used to... I mean, they would say all kinds of horrible things. I mean, look
But
at
in
Tourette's.
1891.
Yeah, look at Tourette's. A lot of the historic cases of demonic possession, you can actually attribute to Tourette's symptoms. Because Tourette's has been ruined by Tourette's guy and the internet. But Tourette's is not specifically a verbal disability. It involves tics and things and physical movements that you can't control. So a lot of times there were people that were considered to be possessed by a demon that may have actually had Tourette's. There was such a vague understanding of disability back in the day that somebody could have given birth to a child with a birth defect and said, "It's a monster, throw it in the river."
And then
it
it
lived long
survived.
enough to find a second one like it.
It ate
And-
fish and mussels. Maybe they were twins.
Goddamn.
You shouldn't say it because we're talking about a person.
They, them. And yes, I did research this, but I did it so in a bubble where I thought frog makes a lot of sense to me and didn't approach any other avenues of it.
Saying it's a kappa
Frog.
or whatever.
I don't know. Why coyote, though?
Why coyote? Because a coyote, he said it was about 5 feet long with a long leg. A coyote with mange with no fur on it?
It did say fangs. It did say dog-like ears.
Otter.
Otters don't have dog-like ears.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
There's a lot of different kinds of dog-like ears.
No, there's not.
Look at all the different dog breeds. Some
That's
have
'cause-
pointy ears, some
Yeah,
have
that's
floppy
'cause-
ears, some have
Yeah.
ears that just tip down a little bit.
That's because they suck.
Some of them's ears hang low and they wobble to
The
and
news,
fro.
the
I will
news,
punch you in the fucking face.
the news clipping from the Cincinnati Enquirer did say its ears are sharp-pointed.
Dog.
Coyote.
Coyote. I don't know where that argument was going because otters do not have sharp-pointed ears.
No shit.
And frogs don't have ears at all. So I completely botched this research.
It's a really big bat.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Pointed ears.
They don't have tails.
Sure they do. Bats have tails.
They do have tails.
They're very short.
Shit.
They have stubby little tails.
But they
bats
don't
have tails.
look like they have like feet tails, like mermaids.
True, they do have
But this
legs.
also said it had 4 legs.
Oh, so why did they call it a mermaid? 4 legs like an otter.
Couldn't think of anything.
With
better.
a long tail like an otter. You know that an otter's tail makes up over a third of its length?
I hate you
I'm so glad you have Google.
with every fiber of my being,
Otter.
as inebriated as it is.
Otters. I feel like Giorgio Tsoukalos.
That's going to go on Instagram. You going otters.
Otters.
We'll find you a black turtleneck.
He doesn't wear a black turtleneck.
Okay.
I'm thinking of the mind blown meme.
No, I'm just gonna put you in the Jeff Goldblum picture. Just
You know, I always thought Jeff Goldblum was a funny guy. And then I watched his
you're starting a
show.
lot of hate here.
And then I watched his show on Disney. And I agree
Show?
still he's a funny guy, but I also think he's nuts. I always thought it was an act, but then I see him as his normal self.
And he's no Gary Busey.
He's no Gary Busey, but I think
Who is just
Jeff
clinically
Goldblum's-
insane.
I think Jeff Goldblum's a little bit crazy. Like I
I don't know. I think he's just a guy that enjoys life.
I have money. I
he
can
looks
turn
at
it
life like through the eyes of a child.
on. Or a very.
I'm
demented
jealous.
person. Do we want to look at these mud?
He doesn't know how to
mermaids?
run.
I do remember that episode.
He
Yes,
does not know how to run. Jeff Goldblum does not know how to run. He bounces.
He skips, is what you're saying.
No, he bounces.
That's what the Nike scientist said.
One could say he lollygags. If lollygag was a motion, it is Jeff
Jesus
Goldblum running.
Christ. We got 2 on the go.
Don't break the immersion. We film or record these weekly, not all in one go.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, it is hot in here.
No, it's not.
It is when you have to pee.
Jesus. All right. I know you have at least like 3 more maps and a bunch of other information.
Yeah.
You know?
But no, actually, I don't.
Oh, you just have maps?
I had those 2 maps of where Lake Ohio was.
Oh, well,
and the other one
shit.
was if we came up with the idea of maybe they swam up from the Gulf of Mexico.
Whoa, maybe
that
they
would
did.
be the most plausible.
Maybe they did.
Just because of the Caribbean. And where
Yeah,
this started.
pirates, the Caribbean, mermaids. Maybe they just swam on up. Maybe they're real mermaids.
Oh, God.
Yes, I know he's not a popular person, but Columbus did mention seeing mermaids when he was in the Americas.
He also saw a UFO, but we'll get to that later.
Did he really?
Yes.
Cool.
Did they blow up 2 of his ships?
Columbus is credited with one of the earliest UFO reports ever.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing. We'll get to it someday, if I remember.
And I'm going to say, if you count the SCP universe as real.
No.
I count it as fiction.
Yeah, because it is. The red spot on Jupiter is where I was going. All those who listen to SCP or read it will know what I'm talking about.
Doubt it.
Shut up, John. That's a very big SCP. It's very cool, and if you haven't listened to it, look it up. The red spot.
Well, I mean, now you just have to tell me what. Give me a quick summary.
Fuck,
of the
it's a
red
Jupiter or Saturn. I don't remember.
Well, it's Jupiter. Jupiter's the planet with the large red spot.
Okay. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm not going to explain it to you.
Well, no, just give me a very brief summary.
A
because
very
you
brief summary?
brought it up, and
And
I don't expect people to look it up, and I don't think I'll look it up.
Okay.
But I want to know.
Thinking about it now, East Side and Vulcan, it was back when Galileo or somebody who was astronomical 600 years ago looking at Jupiter, they noticed that something crashed into Jupiter, and they noticed a spot forming on it through their primitive telescopes. I'm prehistoric. I'm a tool. And then they wrote it down, and then the SCP found out about it in the early 1900s and sent a bunch of satellites around it. And it turns out that the red spot on Jupiter is a alien spaceship that has been slowly reforming itself after a catastrophic crash, and it's going to destroy Earth.
So that's what you're saying is that the mermaids came from the red spot on Jupiter.
I'm not. I don't remember what I was saying. You're just being a dick because you made me think about it on the spot. And the SCP has no way to stop it. Sorry.
Oh no. SCP, please save us. From the red spot on Jupiter.
You shut the hell up. That's great. I love reading that.
Yeah. Can't get into it.
You're a dick. It's because you can't read freaking, like...
I don't want to hear what sounds like military communications back and forth.
It's not.
It's hard to follow.
Medical files, at best.
Medical files are not fun either.
Yeah, I know. You hate it. I tried to get you a dozen times.
I'm a creepypasta boy.
I hate you. But I listen to the same things.
Anyway, Jason, more on Mud Mermaids.
Goddamn, this episode 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, there really isn't much else. There's no further reports after that. It's kind of like Mothman. It just disappears.
Well, does the Mothman have, like...
Oh, let's not even start talking about Mothman because we're gonna really go down that later.
I can't wait.
I
really can't wait.
That's a favorite of Jason and mine.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And here's Brian to just...
The Mothman.
Brian to up the failure rate.
Dude, that's what I was there for.
Good thing the Mothman was.
I'm bringing that bell curve down.
Mothman.
Yes, it might as well be what it fucking is for all I know. I saw a guy with wings on top of a building at this point in time. It's like, are you sure that wasn't just Jimmy?
No, there's so much more than that.
I know, John. I know. But all the ones I've heard is, welcome to Central Indiana. Hey, the Mothman was said to be sighted. Turns out it was just Billy Bob cracked out of his mind on crystal meth right now.
The Mothman is no Mud Mermaid. The
Mothman
Mothman is one of the main things that, like, I see that and I'm like, well, maybe there is something. Maybe something is going on. The Mothman story is crazy.
I mean, we basically explained the Mud Mermaid. It is either an otter, a coyote, or an auditor.
Or it's Ariel looking for love.
In the Ohio River. What kind of love is she going to find in the Ohio River?
She's looking in all the wrong
Syringes.
She found crystal meth.
Midwest, more likely heroin.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Ariel comes up the Ohio River, comes up the Mississippi into the Ohio River to find heroin needles, and then goes back to the Gulf of Mexico to find Mickey Mouse, and then get a movie made out of her.
Well, she went back to the Caribbean near the area of Jamaica because Sebastian is clearly Jamaican.
She went to rehab in the Caribbean?
Well, no, that wouldn't be a good idea. But I don't know, man.
I feel like we gave you a lot more credit for your stupid theory in the first episode.
I had a lot of content prepared.
Yeah, so did Jason, if not more.
True.
And we have just been constantly shitting on this.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's got like a handful.
It's interesting.
Reports. Let's talk about this. When you do research on something, you see it and you're like, "Oh my god, there's so much here." But then when you verbalize it, it comes out in about 5 minutes.
It comes out in 5 minutes because I'm trying to fit it between the rantings of two drunken idiots.
Hey, we are all drinking here.
We are buzzing idiots.
Just because I have my go juice.
Baby go juice.
It is not baby go juice. I don't know how to fucking say that. It's some kind of tequila.
I'm going to butcher this.
Okay, John's going to attempt.
Corralejo.
Corralejo. Tequila.
Corralejo, but you should roll the R because there's two of them, but I can't roll R's because I don't have any sort of that in my...
That's a quarter of my genome.
Yeah, I'm unable to roll
and
R's.
I still can do it.
But there's only one L.
Now, tell them why you're drinking tequila.
Because I drank all my normal beers too quickly in the first episode.
Single episode.
Not even a single episode. There wasn't even time to down it. It was just, I ran out and I had to take a break.
Sweet baby Jesus, Brian.
Shut up.
How are we ever going to have a different beer?
Better get those beers rolling, or you better start giving me your beers.
No, I only have one left. And I have 2 more episodes.
Right.
Oops.
Oh, God.
We didn't record these all at once.
No, yeah, this is definitely recorded once a week. We do not sit in a room for
5
hours and just belt them all out at once.
We try. Stay tuned for episode 3. If that's a thing that actually happens, if I'm not passed out on the fucking floor.
Okay, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts about your Mud Mermaids?
Yeah, because we did that for his, whatever the you want to call that.
Otter with mange.
I'm really sorry to say, as interesting as it was when you were explaining it, and I looked at your notes earlier and thought, wow, that's a lot of note that I didn't take. That I have absolutely I have no foot to stand on when I say that what you did wasn't good because I did nothing about my topic.
I didn't either.
Shut up.
You had notes. You read off your phone.
Well, they were all midnight thoughts.
Still notes. It's more than I got. You did the research. You put everything forward. Me and John probably drove that down. Brian and John.
You probably found a solution that I was too caught up in other crap to find.
That's what I said. That's why I
did not
leaned
even
in,
occur to me,
and I said, "I hate to kill this real quick." Because I don't know, when you talked about it, it just hit me. I was like, that's just like an otter or something. It's such a simple thing to dismiss.
It's a mud crab. Who knows?
So your closing thoughts.
So yeah, it's a really cool thing to think about in 1891.
If they were pretty.
Which they clearly were.
That's
it looked like a dog.
Half the excitement of mermaids is that they're beautiful, But this thing has claws and fangs, and it's like, oh, well. I don't want that.
It's a panther. It's just it's a mountain lion with mange. Because
going back to mange.
Mange, man. Mange is the key.
Mange is the key to life. It just did not occur to me. But yeah, that actually makes more sense than anything I came up with.
For what it is, it's a good urban legend.
For the people of Vevay.
Vevay, yeah, because there's probably nothing else to do in Vevay except heroin.
Does Vevay still exist?
Yes, it does.
Wow, where is it?
The same place it was back then.
But it's got to be so far off the highway, because I have not seen a sign off the highway for Vevay.
It's on the river. You know how many freaking towns are on the river?
A lot, but the only one that matters is Jeffersonville.
Don't even know where that is.
Right across the river from Louisville. It's a beautiful little town.
I've been through it. I've sat in it. I've drunk beer in it.
They have a really nice candy store.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we got his closing thoughts. Would you like to add closing thoughts?
I think you did already.
That was first. It's your closing thoughts.
All right, fine.
Dear.
I don't mean to shit on your entire research buffet that you had that was meticulously thrown out with all of this points, and you had maps and everything, and
You even bought a folding phone to display it better.
I knew the folding phone would come up at some point. I bought the folding phone because I am a geek.
I will admit,
useful for this.
Shall we throw in a review?
Yeah, don't buy it.
Galaxy Z Flip, right? No, Fold. Galaxy Z Fold.
Yep.
Don't buy it.
I still like it.
Okay, so next week we will have a topic from Brian.
Yeah.
You want to drop a teaser?
No.
All right, then.
Why are you pointing at me? Everybody's looking at me.
Did you already forget the first episode?
Yeah.
You came up with the perfect closing line.
Oh. Well, I don't remember what it was.
And on that disappointing note...
Have fun, everybody.
There we go.
I just got that whispered into my ear, but I will do a good hot take on it right now, and have fun, everybody.